Hey there guys, so according to reports, a pretty interesting fight has been signed for the 28th of April. For those of you who don't know, former middleweight and super middleweight champion Arthur Abraham is going to be making a comeback, and he's going to be facing Danish super middleweight Patrick Nielsen. Now, I heard about this fight last week, but I thought it was probably just a rumour, but it turns out that the fight's actually happening. It's going to be happening in Germany. And I know a lot of you are probably just going to dismiss this fight because neither of these guys are really world level. Arthur Abraham is considerably past his prime now. Okay, the guy's, he's in his late 30s. He's had a heck of a lot of wars. He's coming off a defeat to Chris Eubank Jr., who himself is coming off a defeat to Groves. So clearly, Abraham is at a stage of his career now where, he's pretty shot. But this opponent, Patrick Nielsen, now, I remember when Patrick Nielsen first turned pro, and he actually was a really promising prospect. I watched a few of his fights live when he used to fight in Denmark, and I remember he was actually quite promising. However, he really didn't deliver. He got dominated by Dmitry Chudinov over in Russia. I remember that fight, and he also got knocked out recently by John Ryder. So clearly, Patrick Nielsen was one of these guys who basically flopped. He really didn't make it how he was supposed to. I'm sure Sauerland had high hopes for this guy. They thought he could be a potential world champion, and it never worked out. So that's one of the reasons why I'm intrigued by this fight, because it's kind of a crossroads fight between these two guys. We got two guys now, one of them who is a former world-class fighter who is way past his prime and who's looking to basically have a farewell fight. And we've got another guy who's obviously looking to rebuild. So really both guys are in desperate need of a win here. If Abraham wants to get back in the mix, he has to win fights of this level. If he can't beat the likes of Patrick Nielsen, then there's really no point in him continuing his career. And Patrick Nielsen, obviously, for him to get a decent win for his legacy, because obviously he doesn't really have any great victories. He did defeat the likes of Ruddy Markuson, but those guys are way past their prime. So this is a good opportunity for him to get a good legacy win. A good win against a former world champion. So I like this fight. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. I think it's going to be a nice clash of styles. Patrick Nielsen's quite an aggressive fighter. He's a guy who lets his hands go. He's a guy who likes to have a scrap. Whereas Arthur Abraham, he's a guy who is a lot more methodical. He boxes behind a tight guard, a decent jab. Arthur Abraham at his prime, he was one of these guys who was very difficult to hit clean, very difficult to look good against, just because he was so fundamentally sound. He was good at catching your punches, wearing you down, and fighting in bursts. He would attack you to the body. Like one minute he'd be standing there with his guard up, not doing much. And then the next minute he'd be throwing like 5 punches to the body, just sudden outbursts, which would weigh you down over time. And Abraham at his prime, he was very good. He was very effective with that style. But obviously, as you get older, you need to progress as a fighter. You need to develop new things to your game. New punches and new techniques, which Abraham wasn't really able to do. Which is why when he fought elite level competition, he was never really able to win. He lost to the likes of Carl Froch, Andre Ward, he lost to Robert Stieglitz, he lost to Gilberto Ramirez, he lost to Chris Eubank Jr. So yeah, he lost, of course, a controversial disqualification to Andre Dirrell. So Abraham, when he's competed at the highest level, and when he moved up in weight, because he was very effective at middleweight, when he moved up to super middleweight and he was fighting guys that were bigger than him and much taller than him, he wasn't the same fighter. He really wasn't able to progress. But, I'm still a fan of the guy. I followed his career from pretty much the beginning. I've always been a big fan of Arthur Abraham, and I've always enjoyed watching his fights. So, yeah, this is a fight that I certainly will enjoy. I certainly will check it out. As far as Patrick Nielsen goes, like I said, he's at a crossroads now. He's lost to the likes of John Ryder and Dmitry Chudinov, and these guys are just domestic level opposition. These guys are certainly not world class. So, yeah, both guys need a win here desperately, and I think I'm probably going to go with Arthur Abraham for the win, to be honest. Patrick Nielsen, he's a good fighter. He's quite athletic. He's got good stamina, but he has a bit of a questionable chin. Also, his defense isn't great. I can remember his fight against Ruddy Marcus, and he got hit a lot in that fight. And I wonder really how much desire he has left. I mean, after losing to the likes of John Ryder, you know, he's not going to be very confident, is he, going in against Arthur Abraham? I mean, I would take Arthur Abraham over John Ryder even today. And to be perfectly honest, the fight's going to be in Germany too, and it's going to be on a Sauerland card. And Patrick Nielsen is no longer with Sauerland. You know, he parted ways with them after the John Ryder fight. So, you know, and Arthur Abraham is a career-long Sauerland client. You know, he's been one of their top ticket sellers for many, many years. So I can see Abraham having the edge if the fight's close. I'm probably going to go with Abraham to win, probably by a points decision, to be honest. I mean, Abraham, he has the power to win by knockout, but the thing is, he's not really a great finisher anymore. Whereas Abraham, when he was younger, he would go for the knockout. Nowadays, he seems to be content to just go the distance in fights. He really does. He seems to just want to outpoint his opponents, and he's happy with just a decision. You know, it's been a while since he scored a knockout. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. He certainly can get the knockout. If Abraham comes in, you know, with that fire in his belly, fueled up, and, you know, really, really wanting to prove himself and get back in the mix, and he could win by stoppage, but I see it most likely being a decision. So let me know what you guys think about this one. I just think it's an interesting battle, and you know, it's going to be. I think it's an interesting crossroads fight. I like fights like this. I like fights where guys have got nothing to lose, and, you know, they're just trying to, you know, get back in the mix, and I like to see where they're at and what they can do. And since obviously there's an element of nostalgia for me because I'm a big Arthur Abraham fan. Somebody actually called me a fanboy recently on one of my videos where I was talking about Abraham. Yeah, I'm a fan of the guy. Yeah, I like the guy's career. I like his fights. I've got his whole career on DVD actually up until 2010. Well, up until 2011 actually. I've got all his fights on DVD. So yeah, I'm a big Abraham fan. I'm going to be rooting for him to win. Hopefully he does the business. It's a good fight. I'm going for him to win most likely on points. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.